This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask with your host, Dr. Judith Briles. On the show today, you'll find out where book publishing is going and how to take advantage of it. How to identify and avoid publishing predators. What opportunities are emerging as the book trade evolves in new forms. How to avoid losing money and much, much more. Join us now as a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take the author to the next level of publishing. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by AuthorU and the Book Shepherd. And now, here's your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, top of the publishing day to all of you. And I love doing topics like this, which involves how to create stellar book sales and how to create author success. And with me is someone we've actually had before, Kimberley Grabas, who has created an amazing program that she does called Secrets of the Flawless Book Launch. She's an author herself. She's based in Canada. She works with authors globally, just not in the North America, all over Timbuktu. And she has a variety of online courses that I hope she mentions because they're well worth your while to take advantage of that. And what I'd like to do is just kind of jump right into the program if we can. Kimberly, is that good for you?
Yeah, it works perfectly for me.
All right. So I always like to ask, you've been on before, and usually we do a catch-up from, what's new? What's new in the publishing world for you? What are you seeing? It's been several months since you were on. That might be a tweak, a change, maybe something for the summer. And actually, I need to start thinking fall.
Yes, exactly. Although my kids are horrified when we talk back to school because they want to squeeze the last little bit out of the summer.
Yes, the kids are all going back to school, which I think is tragic.
It is, well, for them it is the end of the world. So, but as far as the writing world goes, though, I haven't been seeing anything because I tend to deal with the more foundational stuff. I do find that there is these waves or these trends of things that kind of go on, but I'm somewhat buffered, or the people that I deal with are somewhat buffered a little bit by it because we do tend to focus on the very foundational stuff. But what I am seeing is a lot of, attention is getting finally placed on sort of the relationship side of things as opposed to this constant, the newest and the best tactics and how can I, a tweak here and a tweak there. Those things they're fine and in the right, at the right time. But what I'm liking is that things are starting to progress in a way where authors and writers are becoming, or they're getting the education, they're getting the information that helps them focus more on building a long-term career as a writer, as opposed to these quick online or social media tactics and tricks and whatever that seem to be sort of short-term, and they never really give them the boost or the bump that they actually want. So that, to me, is a positive sign that things are kind of moving in the right direction that way.
Well, last week I did a webinar for how to sell more books without social media or advertising.
Yep.
And it was all about speaking. And we had 500 people.
Wow.
And so I think it was a very content heavy. We didn't offer anything to sell. It was just 2 hours of heavy duty content. And I think that really, to me, that's foundational.
It is,
and comes back to it. Well, let me also, I'm going to spring into something here. I just published actually this week with our mutual friend Joel Friedlander a book on is perfection an art or is it author sabotage? And I would love to have a discussion with you that might open on some of that, because I think that does kiss on the foundation of you probably worked with some authors who I have said too many times they come across 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready, 3 to get ready, 3 to get ready, and they never frickin' go. And
That's true.
I know. So, the art of perfection, that, what I wrote was superheroes are perfect, and fairies are perfect, and unicorns are perfect. The reality is they're not real.
That's right.
And to keep going for the carrot of the perfect book, I personally think it's the kiss of death.
Yeah.
So, what do you think?
Here's the irony, because you're talking to kind of a recovering perfectionist, right? A lot of the things that I've done in my life, yeah, it's kind of it's an interesting thing, because I always you learn so much about yourself. I find, like, this is the best job in the world, I think, that we have, and you learn so much about yourself when you hear your I'm not going to call them flaws, but when some of the drawbacks, some of the things that are, that you don't realize or recognize in yourself, and then you see, you meet with a bunch of people and you start hearing the same story, the same quirks, the same fears, essentially, that are holding other people back as well. And that's what I do spend a lot of time talking about, because mindset, these fears, these weird things, these weird scripts that you allow to kind of play out, that sometimes you're truly just not aware of, can really stall the forward momentum. And I was talking with someone just this morning, actually, about exactly that, where you kind of get, it becomes so important. You've tied so much to the end result. You've put so much weight on it, there's so much story on the story, there's so much emotional that weight given to it, that it's really hard to let it go, or it's really hard to let it be judged, or really hard to move forward, like take the next step in the journey. And the two things that you know for sure are either you're going to meet your objective, or you're going to learn something, right? There's never really a failure. There's never really, especially if it's your first book, and I know there's a lot of weight on that, but eventually you tend to get, and again, as I say, as I recover from the perfectionism, at some point you have to just say, this is the best I can do right now.
Exactly.
This is the best book I can do right now, given every bit of resource that I have. And I'm okay with that. Now, can I revisit it later? Sure. Can I get better? Yes. But right now, this is what I have to offer, and that's okay. And it's perfect in that way, even if it's imperfect. So I do find that that's an interesting thing. And I find it funny, too, because especially Joel does not have that perfectionism problem.
No.
Which I do think he pointed it out to me, where he is happy to take the leap. He's got the confidence to do that. And that is something that I work towards every day, and I know that it's a very important thing to be reminding writers of as they move through this process as well. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm there. I remember the first time I flew back to do a national TV show. I was heading back to Good Morning America, and I'm sitting reading my book, and I'm going, what was I thinking when I said it this way? Oh, my God. Oh, geez, you could have done better, Judith. And I think all of our authors need to realize is especially as you put your first toe in the water and you're really moving into it, that you're going to get better. The more you write, the better you get. And that maybe who you're comparing yourself to has been writing for 20 years. And you're a newbie. So, number one, you don't beat yourself up. You're going to make mistakes. There is I tell you, my latest book, How to Create $1 Million Speech, I had 4 edits on it. I'm reading through and I'm going, how did this get in here? Wait a minute.
What was I doing on that day that slipped by me?
No, it really wasn't me. It's a missing word. How did 4 separate eyeballs miss that the word TO should be on this? Right. How, it made me crazy. Let it go. You can fix it. Yeah, I immediately fixed it on the ebook. Certainly it's not going to show up on the audiobook. and we'll go back to print. We'll fix it on the print. But that's where the perfectionist can just shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah, well, sure. And it's not fair. Like, when you think about it, you would cut other people a whole lot more slack than you do yourself. And you have to allow yourself the time to be inexperienced, right? It's not fair to judge yourself based on, like you said, what someone else has done or is doing from a different starting point, right? They've either had years experience or they've got some other different, situation that really isn't relevant to you. So you work through your, what you need to learn. Don't be discouraged by what other writers have accomplished, but sort of instead you can view them as examples of what's possible for your own writing career, right?
It becomes a little the role model for you. This is where I want to reach to. And so what you do is you study them. Okay, so what makes that sentence work? What made that paragraph pop? And you learn that way. And so I think one of the things that all of us authors need to understand, this is a never-ending story on the learning side. If you want to get better. So Kimberly, we're just short of 2 minutes up to our first break. What I'd like you to do is, if it's okay with you, because we did talk about parts of the book launch and the success of that I think that what I love about independent authors and small press people is that we can keep launching and relaunching our books almost in perpetuity with a variety of ways. And what I'd love to have you do when we come back from our break is really to this first break is to talk about, let's talk about an initial rollout launch. But I'd love to get into some ideas. I think a lot of our listeners, authors out there would love to know, okay, so I did it this way this time. What are some of the ways that I can do it again and again and again? And I think for everyone, as you listen in, this is going to appease the Amazon gods. Amazon would rather see you sell a few books, every day, every other day, than 40 or 50 books in one day and then never come back again. And with that, we're going to take our first break. It's AuthorU-Your Guide to Book Publishing. I'm Judith Briles, and with me is Kimberley Grabas. We'll be right back.
Is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Is there a book in you or another? AuthorU will show you how to create, develop, and publish your book without being hoodwinked. If you already have a book out, you'll find a supportive and brainstorming community that's connected and creative no matter where you live. AuthorU brings in national experts for its book camps and annual author extravaganza held each May. It has regular meetings and delivers webinars for its members on timely topics. Through AuthorU's extensive network, members enjoy exclusive benefits, including significant discounts for a variety of services necessary to publishing. The Resource, its online book publishing news magazine, is content-heavy and it's free. If you want to create a book that has pizzazz, punch, and panache, AuthorU is for you. If you're a hobbyist or a casual author, it's not. Join AuthorU today through its website at AuthorU.org. Follow AuthorU on Twitter at AuthorU and on Facebook at AuthorU, where timely author and publishing tips and articles are posted daily. AuthorU, where the author goes to become seriously successful.
First impressions are everything in the world of book publishing. Whether your book is an ebook, a print version, or both, your book cover needs to pop, sizzle, and sparkle to immediately capture the attention of your audience. And your book's interior needs to be just as dynamic and reflect the professionalism your readers demand. Nick Sellinger of NZ Graphics has won numerous national and international book awards for his cover designs and interior layouts. With over 20 years of experience in graphic design, he knows what it takes to create award-winning books and the many promotional pieces that authors need, such as posters, banners, postcards, one-sheets, business cards, logos, and more. Visit ncgraphics.com and see what authors and publishers have to say about their award-winning books and how NZ Graphics can make your book the success it was meant to be. That's nzgraphics.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, so we're talking about author success, which is what I always want. And with us, we have an expert in book launching and platform building and the like, and working directly with authors one-on-one. Kimberley Grabas is the creator of the Book Launch Toolkit. So I would really encourage you to just Google that, or maybe she can give us a shorty address so people can find it. But that the Book Launch Toolkit is a terrific kit for as you get ready to roll out, and it will kiss on the things that you also need within your platform, if I remember correctly. Is that right?
Sorry, Judith, I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you. Can you just repeat that last bit?
Now we can't hear us. All right. So, what I said is that you were the creator of the Book Launch Toolkit.
Yes.
Right. And then how people can reach you to discover how about that. So, Kimberley, why don't you just say your website?
Okay, my website is yourwriterplatform.com.
Okay.
And you can access the Book Launch Toolkit from my site, so that's an easy thing to do. And basically what I did is I actually sort of joined forces with Joel Friedlander, so we were just speaking about him in the last segment there. But what we've done is we've decided, it's enough. We've had each of us have had a lot of writers come to us wanting sort of, a blueprint, a way to get things done without having to struggle with the how, right? So we put together a kit that basically walks you through everything from, building your platform and sort of having the foundational things in place, as well as some book launch tools, things to kind of get you through this launch and a way to leverage this launch and every other launch that you do, if you're doing series, if you're doing individual books, however you want to do it, but it helps you kind of build as you go. So that was our goal with it, and it's been very successful to date. We've had it out for quite some time now, so we've got a lot of feedback, and that's all positive or mostly positive. We haven't had too many things that writers have had any concerns with, and in fact, they've kind of helped build it to be as good as it is for helping authors launch and relaunch their books.
Which is always good. So as we went into our commercial break, I mentioned the idea of relaunching or a rolling type of launch. And can we just kiss on a couple of tips that you have that you recommend from your side?
Sure. Well, the key, like you were saying, is when you're self-publishing, you've got a lot of control, which is ideal, really. When you're marketing, the more control you can kind of have, the more input you get, the better. So some of the things that you can do, or some of the things that you can consider, is that each time you launch something, it will be new for a different group, right? It's not that you're reaching everybody the first time out, and then you can say, well, it's launched, and now I can't ever, promote it again. Basically, you can almost think of it kind of like a product, right? It's something that you can sort of rejuvenize. It can be another event. There's no reason why you can't sort of promote and bring it to the surface again. So you can either do that. There's lots of ways actually to do that, but one way is to say, you've got, say it's a book in a series, so then the whole series kind of gets pulled up when you promote for one. You're kind of promoting the whole series. If you want to do things that are sort of kind of with Amazon, you can do things like that where you're always sort of running promotions, and what you can do is sort of always be promoting something in your backlist. You can be doing things on your website as well. You can have landing pages. You can have paid ads that are always sort of bringing attention to, to different works that you're doing. And even if this is your first book, that doesn't mean you can't be kind of continually promoting your brand or, future books, future releases. Perhaps you have things, aside from just books. It could also be, business type stuff. Maybe you're an editor. Maybe you're also doing speaking events, those kind of things. So there's lots of different ways to kind of keep the ball rolling and not let it kind of die out. So you want to have a strategic plan for that, though, because a lot of the times money can be wasted by reacting to things or quickly doing something. So you kind of want to have, sort of the monthly, 6 month, and then yearly plan for how you want to promote and when you want to promote it so that you can kind of get the best bang for your buck. And you can do that, like I said, even if it's just one book, or perhaps you don't even have a book out yet. That's another thing too. You can still be promoting and moving your brand and your business along even before the book has launched. So, if you want to, maybe if there's something very specific that you want me to touch on, Judith, let me know. But that kind of gives you an idea that this isn't something that has to happen only one time. With a launch, you do kind of want to pull everything together for sort of one point in time. But as you were saying, or at least we were maybe speaking in between the segments, there's definitely, as far as Amazon is concerned, you want to have kind of a consistent sales. You don't necessarily want to have huge peaks and then very, very long and low valleys of sales, right? Personally, you don't want that just for your business, as well as, for Amazon and the way their algorithms work now, that it's not conducive to a good business plan to have these huge peaks and valleys of sales. So you want to be more consistent, and that's some of the ways that you can do that.
And that's the huge plus when you can get into it. You want a consistent, a little nibble every day or even every other day works for the Amazon gods. For the Amazon gods, you can say that.
Sure.
And actually, here's what it does: it builds up over a period of time for you.
Yeah.
And that's really what you're after. All right, so let's talk about this thing called a platform. You and I both talk about the platform. We write about platforms. And people are confused. I mean, it used to be, but the feedback that was coming down from New York houses, Kimberley, was that your platform is all about who you're attached to in social media. And I just don't agree with that. But, no. I mean, I'd love your take.
Well, okay, so for me and the way I teach, the way I coach, platform is every bit relationship building. So it's not the tactics, it's not the tools, it's not that, you've got this certain, software or something. It really, those are sort of side things. The main thing that you're looking for with your platform is things that are sustainable, that build relationships, that help you engage with a community of like-minded people. And truly, these are people that you can, either your book helps or it's something, that there's an interest or desire. So you're looking for that group of people that can appreciate your work. So it isn't everybody. It isn't everybody you can talk into buying your book or anything like that. The whole point of platform is the relationship side of it. That's the whole key. How you do that, and this is the struggle for both writers and marketers, I guess, is the struggle comes from the fact that this is done differently and successfully in different ways. So there isn't like a cookie-cutter way that I can say, okay, if you do this, then you're good to go. It's the opposite of that. It's almost an infinite way of building engagement with your particular people, because you're looking at everything you have to offer, what you're good at, what your content, how your books are written, the whole life experience, everything about you and why you're doing it. Then you're looking at a target audience and all their needs, desires, wants, whatever it is that is attractive to them. And then you're looking for that sort of overlap between the two, right? And then once you find that sweet spot between everything that you can offer and what they desire, and you get that sweet spot, that's the part where you're looking at for platform. Okay, so they're interested in this. These are the kind of things they want. This is what I do, and this is what I do best. What are the best ways to connect? What mediums will we use? Like, would they prefer to, would you have an author blog? Is that how they'd like to experience the work that you do? Or would they prefer to see you on YouTube? Younger audiences tend to use, sort of more social media stuff. But again, that's for connection, not for selling, right? The whole thing with your platform is connection, not selling. Selling is like, I like to say it's kind of like a positive side effect of doing the platform building well, is that you tend to sell more because you've built such a great connection with your readers that it's sort of a no-brainer after that they will purchase what you have. They'll talk about you. They'll spread the word. So that's what your goal is with it. And I think if writers view it in that way, it gets less icky, right? I get a lot of pushback because of the whole marketing and sales and used car salesman kind of vibe. And it has nothing to do, if that's what it feels like, then you're doing it wrong, right? It's just, that shouldn't be the feeling that you get, that you're trying to bamboozle somebody, that you're trying to coerce anybody. The goal is to find that group of people who already are aligned with the way that you think and the way that what your writing speaks to. And you're just looking for a way to connect with that group, not to convert anybody over to your side or your way of thinking or anything like that, right? Once you're doing that, then you've gone too far off, your ideal audience. So I think that's kind of a key thing that a lot of writers aren't quite making the connection, that they're just not understanding that in order to sell, you don't have to sell. You need to build relationships, which is why it takes longer than just these quick tactics or, some sort of, when should I post on social media? It isn't really about that.
I'm so glad you said that it takes a while to build all this, because I have said so many times that what a lot of authors, I think they seem to think that they've got a book and they're done. That's it. Yeah. And that was the easy part. I hate to say it. That's the easy part. It's all the other stuff that you have to do. It takes a long time to build relationships and to build of relationships as you expand out. And it's so don't think of this publishing journey as just a few sprints here and there. It's really a bunch of marathons.
Yeah. Well, and the key too.
And then with that, hold your thought. We'll be right back. And we'll jump into the key next with Kimberley Grabas. We'll be right back.
With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Want to publish like a pro today? Well, then take a look at Ingram Spark, the only publishing platform that offers print and ebook services through a single source. Upload, edit, and manage titles all in one place. Take more control of printing costs with print on demand, and reach even more readers through one of the world's most extensive distribution networks. Built by independent publishers for independent publishers, Ingram Spark has everything you need to maximize your book's potential: color printing, ebook distribution, print on demand, global reach, and more. Start publishing with Ingram Spark today and see just how far your titles will go tomorrow. That's ingramspark.com.
Many of us have dreamed of writing a book.
Some of us even have.
Then the hard work starts.
You'll need an editor.
Who will design the cover or typeset the pages?
Who will format the ebook?
If you're a business owner, consultant, or coach with a serious message and expertise to share, the team of experts at 1106 Design can guide you through the maze.
They've helped more than 1,000 authors create top-quality books and avoid the not-so-reputable self-publishing companies.
Learn more at 1106design.com.
Then call Michelle at 602-866-3226. 1106 Design.
When Ned Thompson and Harry Shore started Thompson Shore in 1972, they believed employees with great character would make up the best company. They were right. They hired people who were not only experts in bookmaking, but who were obsessed with quality and delivering exceptional customer service. Almost 40 years later, Thompson Shore remains a 100% employee-owned company. Ned and Harry knew that successful customer projects are a direct result of empowered employees. We specialize in all books for large and small publishers. Creating beautiful and well-made books, we're dedicated to pleasing our customers by making the experience a good one from start to finish. The personal touch we have with our customers allows us to be innovative in solving their most difficult challenges. Our platform also ensures that we can remain flexible to meet our customers' unique needs and expectations. Our marketing kit can create buzz for your title, enhancing the promotion of your book during infancy. When you need to test the market to gauge your future sales, we can provide digitally printed books that will transition seamlessly into a larger offset run. From ebook to hard copy to delivery, our skillful customer service teams are at the ready to answer your most pressing question. At Thompson Shore, we know that making the highest quality books requires more than just best technologies. It requires superior customer service, professionalism to the trade, and commitment to environmental and social values. With these standards of excellence in place, you can be sure that we will always help you put your best book forward.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Coming up, you'll hear more about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, so here we are. We're talking about your author success. There are multiple components of it. Certainly the building the platform, and what Kimberley Grabas said is that it is the relationship building that goes on. And one of the things I shared with her after when we were during break is that when I did a webinar last week, which was all about speaking, it was about speaking, and it went for a full solid 2 hours. And that what we did was my books, at least 90% of all my books have been sold from the platform, but they have not been pitched from the platform. It's because I spend the time during the presentation engaging and building in that hour's time relationships, hitting on nerves, giving solutions, doing those kind of things. Books got sold that way. And that's part of what Kimberly's talking about with platform building. And that's why, Michelle, I think she mentioned a blog, that I think blogs show that you have stuff, that you've got content. And when you deliver the content that people are looking for, that helps build a really solid connection, at least in my opinion. Do you have anything to add to that, Kimberly?
No, I totally agree. I think, again, sometimes, especially now, we have more options. When I first started this, an author blog was kind of essential, right? An author website and a blog to at least to get traffic to your site, to keep things moving. That was wasn't the only option, but it was certainly the easiest option at that time. Now there's a lot of different avenues, so it doesn't have to be, if you're already saying, ooh, I don't want to blog, then you need at least some sort of web presence, so a website or a home base, someplace to kind of plant your flag so that people can come back and find out more when they want to, which you absolutely want to encourage. But that can be just like how you're doing, Judith. There's different ways now. There's radio, there's podcasts, there's if they want to do things on YouTube, if you're really great with the Facebook Lives, those kind of things. There's lots of different ways now and different mediums that you can use to connect with your potential readers. But the key is that you do something to connect with them, give them some way to find out more about you, to hear what you have to say. Typically, writers are great at writing, though. So to me, I think an author blog is kind of a no-brainer. If you're not doing that, then you're creating an email list, and then your emails are sort of, build the story and keep the connection with your readers and with the audience that you're building. So any way that you choose to do that is good, as long as, again, they can kind of tell when you don't like it, right? If you hate Twitter, probably don't bother with Twitter, right? You might have a bit of a presence there, but you don't need to spend a lot of time there because everybody will be able to tell that you hate Twitter if you're on it. So choose those paths that work best for you, for your personality, for your skill set, whatever, and happen to connect also with the audience you're trying to reach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that you're talking to someone who actually likes Twitter, but I hate Facebook. Okay, so there you go.
Yeah, see, there you go. Well, and I've had every kind of author. I've had some that hate Pinterest, and I've had some that can't get off Pinterest. I've had, Instagram is their thing, and then not Instagram. So everybody, and that's the beauty of it, is that luckily we have a lot of options. The key though is if you hate the one avenue, and there isn't usually one, so that's a plus. But there's usually one or two where your audience is going to be, and typically speaking, you're going to probably be okay on that platform, because if you're writing that kind of book, it's likely that you already kind of connect with that audience, and they're not going to be completely foreign to you usually, right? So there's always some way that you can find to connect with them.
Yeah, but to add on that, you may hate Twitter, talking to our audience. You may hate Twitter, but if your primary target market is on Twitter, I'm going to tell you to get over it. Or you hire someone to deal with Twitter for you, because you need to go where your audience is.
Mm-hmm. You can, and the thing is, too, is that you can, and here's the other thing. Maybe I'll go through, what I did is I did a survey. Mm-hmm. And I've done this, I kind of do this every year, but I do a survey with my audience to find out exactly what their biggest, book marketing or platform building challenge is. And it's interesting because there's about 5 roadblocks or stumbling blocks that people run into consistently. And sometimes you're hitting all 5 and it's misery. Sometimes you got most of it nailed down, but one is, a struggle. But they fall into like what we're talking about. So one is sort of reaching your dream reader or your ideal audience. Like people will say, okay, I've written my book, I know it. Now what? Now how do I reach those people? So what we're talking about kind of is sort of the point of that. They're struggling with that. Okay, well, how do I actually connect with them and reach them? A second one is, just where to start, or what to do when and most efficiently. Like what's the sort of steps of building a platform and in marketing and building this whole community around your work. A third one is this sort of, it's like you're handicapped because it's your first book. So I get a lot of people say, well, I'm still writing it, or this is my first book, so, everybody else has 15 books and I only have one, so what am I supposed to do, right? How can I market, or how can I get attention? So that's another one. And then this one, and I think this kind of falls into with the dream readers, or that I don't like to do certain things. I don't like Twitter. It's limited time, money, and other resources, or feeling like I'm a writer, not a marketer. I just want to write the books. I want someone else to do the other stuff, right? So that's kind of a mindset thing that we probably should mention, because I probably, Judith, you're hearing the same thing, is where people are sort of, I don't want to say, it's not really selling yourself short, but it's limiting your potential, because it might feel like, okay, well, I don't think in that way, I don't like that kind of stuff, but it is your job now as a writer to be good enough at all these things that you could at least outsource it, right? You don't want to do it, fine. Then you can outsource it, but you need to know enough about it. So you need to know enough about Twitter to know that the person that you're getting to do the job can represent you well, right? So you have a basic responsibility to have a basic knowledge of many of the things, right? Then after that, you can certainly start outsourcing or looking for different options of, taking it off your plate, because that's a smart move as well. But you do have to check, though, and make sure that you're not just avoiding the fear thing, avoiding something that you feel you're not good at, just simply because it's outside your comfort zone and you don't want to tackle it. So that's something to consider. And then, of course, the fifth one, I guess, or the fifth roadblock would be, how do you actually foster engagement and spur your community growth? Like, how do you get people to really be that interested in you, your work, and your future efforts, right? The future things that you're going to be producing.
So yeah, what you're saying is, how do I turn these people I connect with into fans?
Yeah.
So,
how do you move them from just casually,
Mm-hmm.
reading one book or
Mm-hmm.
hearing about you to really,
Mm-hmm.
and you can move them from that to kind of a super fan, right? If you can move them to somebody who's actually actively promoting, like telling their friends, and I read this book, it's amazing, you should check it out. When you've got people like those, people are gold. So you want to nurture the people that you have to hopefully move in that direction. Then you basically have your own marketing team, free marketing team,
No question.
to help you move that along, right?
What we're figuring out that if you had 400 super fans, listen to this number, 400 super fans, you could domino that baby, because super fans, what do? They shout out how fabulous you are, how your words rock, your stories are, so entertaining or so riveting, that your solutions to things are absolutely what the doctor had ordered, and you better get at least 2 or 3 books because people are going to take them from you. They're going to borrow them and never return them. They are an amazing, and they will push you out on their social media. They will become your stealth team. And there's some data done. If you had 400 super fans, you could probably create a 6-figure income.
Yeah, and it's so true. And it's one of those things that you kind of, you're like, maybe. But I mean, you and I are both examples of people who have established a business essentially on that. We have people that are so engaged. And I find, even now, like I've been doing this for years now, and I find it remarkable that somehow, and obviously I plan to do it, but yet still somehow there's that little bit of magic in it where people are engaged. Like I said, there's people from Spain that I deal with. There's people that are in Greece. There's people locally here in Canada, in Alberta. There's people all across the U.S. that will email me or Skype me, or we've got relationships that I never would have met these people, never would have known them, and they're part of my, very close group of people. They're people that have, been there either from the beginning, or even if it's more recent, they're supporters and strong.
They came along.
Of what I do.
Exactly. All right, we're going to take our final break. When we come back, we'll move into some hot tips for you to go forward. We're going to get over the roadblocks, and now we're going forward.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
The book shepherding concept is simple. The publishing world is changing, and so must you. You need an experienced shepherd and a guide to partner with you as you create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve your publishing goals. You can't do it alone without paying the price. You can spend your money creating a book that turns out to be so-so, or you can create a book that looks and feels classy, builds your brand, and is a financial success, a bestseller. It's your choice. You choose. You need the book shepherd. Publishing is riddled with obstacles, sometimes nightmares for the author. You don't need problems. You want solutions. Dr. Judith Briles will shepherd you through the maze and the chaos. At times, she's had to step in and rescue a book that has been sabotaged by a publisher or by a publishing service provider, or sometimes even the author themselves. Judith Briles is the book shepherd. If you want to create a book with no regrets, give her a call today. 303-885-2207. That's 303-885-2207, or email her at judith@briles.com. By the way, Briles is spelled B-R-I-L-E-S. Follow Judith on Twitter at My Book Shepherd and on Facebook at The Book Shepherd.
One of the most important decisions you will ever make is your choice for printing your book. You are choosing a company which will be responsible for guiding you through the process and printing your book at a level of quality and detail that embraces your personal and creative needs. You want to choose a company that when your book finally arrives, you are delighted and ready to move on to the next level, and one that is customer focused. Choose King Printing Company and Addy Books to be that company that brings you to the next level. Go to kingprinting.com or call 978-458-2345 and ask for Tom Campbell.
At Total Printing Systems, customer service is our priority. We are located in Southern Illinois. Our employees have an average of 18 years experience and know that customer relationships are important to our continued success. We have been a short-run book printer for nearly 40 years and always stay at the forefront of technology. Our niche is from 1 to 5,000 copies. Today, we offer digital, black and white, and 4-color high-speed inkjet printing, a cost-effective way to introduce color into your short-run titles. We, of course, offer traditional offset printing as well. Bindery is done in-house, from adhesive case binding to PUR perfect binding to mechanical binding of all types, including side sewing. We provide warehousing, kitting, distribution, inventory management, a new print-on-demand facility, streaming browser-based ebooks, and bookstore. Call us at 1-800-465-5200 for a quote on your next book project. You can also visit our website at www.tps1.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
As we enter our last segment, before we move on, I think it's important to reiterate a point that Kimberley brought up, which tied into the mindset whole area that we all, a great majority of us had limited resources. We don't have bottomless checkbooks. We can't keep shelling out money right and left. And we don't have bottomless time, energy with us. And we have other things that we do, nor time. So if you're going to, as you enter in this publishing field, that you do need to learn, you got to get it, it's a business. You need to learn about it. And then when you know about different segments, whether it's the social media usage, whether it's overall marketing usages, whether it's even, outsourcing and when you go into the manufacturing, which is the production side of it, of cover and interiors, that you could sign away and have someone just do it all for you, but you're making a huge mistake. You need to know about what are the components in it. And then when you outsource it to another person, at least you know what to look for. And if you don't do this, you're setting yourself up to be scammed, of which there are so many predators out here in the self-publishing arena calling themselves publishers, and they are not. You're going to get taken. So understand the key components in here so you at least know what tracking is in line and which should come before the other. And Kim, do you want to add on to that at all?
Yeah, I think what you're saying is absolutely true, and it's kind of critical to think of it in a way like you're sort of, the things that you want to outsource, the things that you can relinquish, I guess, to a third party are things that are repetitive tasks that don't, they're required to be done, obviously, but they're not things that really hold the essence of your business, right? Like you're the idea person, you're the writer, you're the, what would you call it? The most important part of the ideas and the brand and everything about your business that speaks to the value is you. Now, sure, can you get somebody to just post to, a social media site? Sure. But they need to know without a doubt exactly what your brand stands for, They have to know who it is you're trying to reach, how you would speak to them, all those things. And in order for them to know that, you need to know that, which means you've had to have kind of tweaked and worked through it yourself, thought about it, and kind of gotten a handle on all that stuff in order to be able to hand it over. So it's not something that can just be, quickly handed over, or something that can be completely outsourced unless you've got, a good idea of what it takes to actually do that job. Then sure, then somebody can do that if it's sort of a repetitive thing. But as Judith was saying, it can be very, very, very risky to hand over, because essentially this is like a personal brand. This is you. This is your work. It's not something you want someone else representing without them having a full understanding of actually how you want that to look in the world, right? So to me, I find that a very scary thing to hand that over to somebody just to get it out of my hands. I'd want to know for sure that I've got the right person for the job and that they fully understand the impact that I want to make in the
exactly.
industry.
And see, I'm that kind of person too. And I've said, when people choose between regular publishing and traditional publishing versus an independent small press self-publishing model, there are 4 components that I weigh out, and one is control. One of them is, what kind of control am I have? What kind of input can I give that will be welcomed, or will it be shut down or even blocked and not even allowed in? That's really critical for me. And in my other 3 years, I want the quality. Quality is really important to me. Timing is really important to me. And also the ability to make money. That's important to me too. And I think all of you listening in need to think about those factors when you're thinking about your book, because that will be, it might move you off the mindset of, I just want to be writing. You just want to write, get a moleskin journal and write. That's what I'm going to tell you to do.
Well, and that's an interesting too. I've heard the same thing, which is, I don't know if there's a resistance to saying I would like this to be my business. I'd actually want to earn a livable income from this, which means that you're going to have a market or somebody to sell to, which I think as soon as we get there, then people start feeling uncomfortable again. And I'm not sure why. I personally don't feel that, but I hear that a lot, where it's sort of, I want to just write what I want to write. I don't worry about my audience until later, and I don't know how that doesn't play out very well in the market, right? It's romantic. It's a nice idea to be able to write whatever you want, but I don't
to be a romantic writer. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't translate well in the market, and I get it. I get that creativity can be stifled if you can't do. I just recently did a video on writing in multiple genres, and you can do whatever you want, but you have to be willing to accept the consequences, or what your expectations need to be adjusted for the results that you're going to see based on those choices. So in that example, if you're writing in multiple genres, it takes much longer to develop this, like we're talking relationships. Well, you've got to do that multiple times. You've got to develop a relationship with 3 different audiences, say, or 2 different audiences if you're writing in 2 different genres. So, and then your website, well, then you got to handle, how are we going to have all these people coming, 2 different groups, say, coming to one website? How are they not going to be confused when they get there? Or do I have to set up 2 sites? Do I have to set up 2 of everything and manage essentially 2 different brands, right? Mm-hmm. So it becomes complicated very fast. And then if it takes a certain amount of time to get from, an interested person to full-on superfan, well, it'll take you twice as long or 3 times or however long times all the different genres you're writing in. And are you really that good that you can excel in that many different genres, right? It takes a long time to be good. As we were talking about, Judith, it takes a while to get good, and you look back at your older work and you're going, oh, dear, whoops, I wouldn't have said that the same way now. Well, it takes a long time to develop your craft, and then are you doing that over, multiple genres? Are you going to be as good as you could have been if you focused only on one? And then how much of the creativity are you losing if you decide to stick to one? And so there's all these different considerations, which are fine. It's just don't pretend that it's not going to result in either some restrictions or some new avenues because of the choices that you make, because it will affect your career going forward, depending on the choices you make now about how you want to, how you want to be presented, the topics or genres that you want to deal with, all that kind of stuff.
All of the stuff. If anyone could see me as I'm Kimberly's in Canada, I'm in Denver, Colorado. I'm nodding my head affirmatively as she's talking.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's interesting that I think, again, it's we speak more, a little bit more from a marketing perspective. So I always have to bring it back to, okay, if writing was the only thing, if I didn't have the background I did, I guess, because I have a background in marketing and sales. So of course it's easier for me to always look at through that lens. But if you decide to be an author in today's world, you don't really have the luxury anymore to not, at least on occasion, put on those marketing lenses and have a look at things from a different perspective, other than just, I write what the muse tells me and off I go kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So it's there's so much of it. I mean, we've really covered a lot over this hour as we go through so many variables here that what brings author success. I mean, this is author success we're talking about. And it's a long-term project. This is not short-term. It's long-term. It's those authors who all of a sudden, wham, they're out there. That's equivalent to someone who won the lottery. What are your odds? It's better to go one step at a time, one foot in front of the other, and really bring it in. Kimberly, we have one more minute. Any one last tip you want to give?
The biggest tip I can give is to keep in mind that working on the foundational stuff, like who you are, what you're all about, why you write what you write, and linking that or aligning that with the people that you want to reach or that you want to serve or that you want, reading your books, those things are sort of key. Everything else will stem from that. How you'll reach them then, like once you know who they are, then it becomes easier to, okay, what do I say to them? What do I send to them? How do I connect with them? All of that comes much easier if you spend a bit of time on, knowing yourself and knowing who you want to reach. So that would be my biggest tip, because I find that's the thing that people blow past.
And that's the way to end.
Yeah, and then they get there and they're like, uh-oh, now how do I deal with this?
All right, so everybody, we're at our uh-oh time. So follow Kimberly on yourwriterplatform.com, and you will get buku tips, follow her blog, get a hold of the book launch toolkit. Thanks. Happy writing. We'll be back.
Thank you for being a part of Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. Each week,